everybody, John Lamont, the Energy Guy with Efficient Energy Solutions. Today we're going to be looking at the common issues that we find in an attic in a typical home here in the Atlanta area. These problems cause anywhere from high utility bills, uncomfortable rooms in the house, or poor indoor air quality. So let's head on inside and see what we find. Okay, so we're looking at the typical problems that we find in a suburban home. And in here, the first thing that we usually find is this, a set of drop-down stairs that's neither weather stripped nor insulated, meaning the only thing between the homeowner and a 120-degree attic in the summer and a 20-degree attic in the winter is a piece of 1/8-inch plywood. Causes a lot of problems. Okay, so we've made our way up the access stairs and we're in the attic. And the typical situation we find up here is inconsistent depth of insulation. As you can see, some of it's fairly deep, but in a lot of places you'll see the ceiling joist. Anytime you can see the ceiling joist, it's bad because usually they're only 2x6, which means you get 5.5 inches of insulation, which is not enough. In our climate zone, the minimum should be R30, maximum R60. So now we come along another issue that's very common that we see in homes, and I call this one contractoritis. Basically, we have a can light that's been installed, and the contractor came in, shoved all the insulation out of the way, cut a hole so they can put the can light in, and then they didn't even bother to put the insulation back. So now you've got a section of ceiling that the only thing standing between it and the extreme temperatures of the attic is a piece of sheetrock, and if you can see that, that's light coming from the inside of the house, so there's a nice big pathway for heat to escape out of the house in the winter and to come back into the house during the summer. Alright, so we got another problem that we run into here in the attic, which is similar to what we run into when we see the can lights. If you've got a ceiling fan or a light fixture coming from the ceiling inside the house, more than likely this is what it looks like in the attic. It's not air sealed. As you can see, there's a nice big gap around the junction box, and the contractor was so kind as to push all the insulation out of the way, so now you've got an air pathway and a poorly insulated area, which is going to contribute to poor indoor air quality, high utility bills, and uncomfortable rooms. Okay, so next we find our good old friend, the knee wall. Knee walls are those vertical walls between interior space and attic space. In this case, this is the knee wall for the vaulted ceiling area of the living room. And as you can see, it's insulated with poorly installed R13 bats that are starting to fall down. The problem with that is these knee walls are subject to the same conditions as the rest of the attic, which is supposed to be at least a minimum of R30. So knee walls are a very common problem and cause comfort issues because not only do they allow air to flow into the house, but they're poorly insulated, causing comfort problems and rising utility bills. Another common problem that we find often is penetrations in the top plates. The top plate is that top 2x4 that's at the top of the studs on a stud wall. Well, as you can see, electricians love to drill holes in them, and often not only do they drill holes in them, but they pull the insulation back so there's no insulation. What happens is this allows unconditioned air to get into the wall cavities, which are uninsulated, which makes those walls heat up or get colder depending on the time of the year it is. And then that increases your utility costs, makes the home more uncomfortable, and allows unconditioned air in there and reduces indoor air quality. Okay, so another common issue we find in attics is this lovely thing called the pan joist return. Well, in this case, it's actually a ceiling joist where they've taken a return duct and they've attached it to the ceiling joist, and they put a couple pieces of wood in between the joist to create a cavity. And then they throw this ductboard on top, which as you can see is getting pretty dirty, and that's caused by airflow. So which means it's drawing nasty, dirty, humid summer air out of the attic directly into the system. And as you can see how dirty the insulation is? Well, that's because air flows out when the heat's escaping in the winter, and then it flows back in when it's getting negative pressure around it because this giant return duct is sucking air out of it. So that air is going into your system to be redistributed throughout the house for you to breathe. Another problem with having HVAC equipment in the attic is the fact that many HVAC technicians use tape like this one instead of mastic. Mastic's kind of a gooey product that once it hardens, it's waterproof, it's flexible, and it keeps these joints sealed forever. Unfortunately, tape has adhesives, and adhesives fail over time. So up here and around these areas, the tape's going to fail, and you're going to be blowing air into the attic, which is wasting money. And down on here at the returns, when that fails, you'll be drawing air directly out of the attic, which means you're drawing moist air, you're drawing dirty air, you're drawing allergens into the system to be redistributed throughout the house. Both of those contribute to inefficient work by the HVAC equipment and furnace, which makes your utility bills higher and makes your home uncomfortable. Now, one last thing that we see a lot, especially in suburban homes here in Atlanta, is we see this HVAC equipment installed into the attic. Well, you can see the top of the attic deck's not very far, and these are only R6 or R8 ducts. Well, the problem is it's kind of like trying to make ice cubes in an oven. It gets 140 degrees in here in the middle of summer, so you're trying to pump ice cold air through these ducts through nice long runs. Well, it heats up the air and it makes it very inefficient. So in a case like this, the best cure, really, is to spray foam the roof deck so this becomes interior space, semi-conditioned, and the equipment will work much more efficiently. Well, we're back. So as you can see, there's more problems in an attic than just poor insulation. And these problems often contribute to high utility bills, uncomfortable rooms in the house, and poor indoor air quality. So if you tune into us next time, we'll talk about some of the ways that we look at improving these situations. So again, I'm John Lamont, the Energy Guy with Efficient Energy Solutions. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.